Hello, welcome back to the channel of Butterflies and Things, where I'm talking to the ball jointed doll artist Arwen. And today we're talking about the ins and outs of layaways. So let's get started. Okay. Hello Arwen.
Hello.
So layaways. That's an unusual term, so can you tell me what that is exactly?
Yeah, layaway, as I understand it, it's an American invention. It comes from the time when they were still pioneering, where you would have a little town, and then there would be some families living there, and it would be a little shop. And it was just when the people were getting a little bit more luxurious, and the ladies would like to buy, I don't know, a vase or a beautiful dress. Instead of a useful dress, a beautiful dress. And there wasn't any money for it, so what would happen is the shop would order the item for the person, and then the person would, the shop would keep the item in the shop on display with a card on it, on layaway. And the person who was doing the layaway would bring in, say the thing cost $10. They would bring in 50 cents for the next, 20 weeks. Okay. To pay it off. Yep. The advantage was for the shop that they would make a sale, and a $10 sale was a lot of money in those days. The advantage for the person who was doing the buying is that they can see the thing sitting in the shop waiting for them to be ready to take it home. Yeah. And that's how layaways.
So that's quite an incentive. Every time I go in the shop with my 50 cents, there it is.
Exactly.
I'm 50 cents closer.
Exactly. Yeah. The modern, where layaways and dolls are concerned, is that this system, being an American system, it's a known system. In Europe, we didn't know about this. I had to learn this, how this worked. It's not something we do in Europe at all. Buying an installment plan, basically. I mean, not since the 50s we've done that.
No, there is purchase and pay later, and then
yeah,
you pay
but
lot of.
This is not no.
You pay extra because you're effectively borrowing the money from the company.
Yeah, you buy it, you get it, you use it, and then you keep on paying until it's paid off. But that's not what layaway is. Layaway is, and in the case of the doll stays in with the company. In fact, it's actually not been made yet, and I will explain to you later on why that is. They will give you a chance to pay it off, and by the time you've paid it off, they can send it. There are some rules about this, and I'm Dutch. The layaway thing. It's like borrowing, and it's not a Dutch thing that I think you should do for a luxury item. Which a doll is a luxury item. It's like that vase. It's like that pretty dress. But many people do it.
Yeah, it's a luxury item. Items that aren't luxury are things you need to live. You need to go about your daily life.
You need a bed, you need a table, you need a couch.
And if you need a suit or a pretty dress to do your work, then you need that. But if you just want a pretty dress. Yeah. So this is what we're talking about.
My comments on layaways are not going to be very positive as such. I see some inherent problems in it, and I'll come onto it in a minute. I think the modern way of doing it with the companies is usually you pay it off in 3 or 4 installments. So if your doll costs $300 plus shipping, say another 50 for shipping, then you pay 300 the first month, 100 the first month, 100 the second month, and the third month you pay the last plus the 50. Or if you talk to the company, you can maybe do the 50 separately. But there's if anybody asks me, well, should I do a layaway, I'm going to say no. If you don't absolutely have to, don't. But secondly, what I would say is try to keep it short, 3 or 4 months. If you do like a 7-month layaway, it's not going to happen, because you're going to be waiting so long for your doll to get it that you're gonna tire out. I've seen this a lot.
Isn't it also possible that your circumstances may change?
Yes.
To the better or the worse within those 6-7 months? That's a long time.
Yes.
So you can't know that you will able to be actually pay those $50 or $70 on the 6th and 7th month.
And it happens a lot that people can't finish the layaway.
And what happens to the money when that happens?
The company keeps it. Basically, that's what it comes down to.
So it is actually quite a risk on the part of the buyer.
Yeah, but it's also a risk on the part of the company because as a rule, most companies will start actually making the doll when 2/3 of the payments have been paid.
Mm-hmm.
If the last third doesn't come in, they will have a made-to-order doll that nobody else may want.
Mm.
And for that last bit of money, it's a problem. The doll she actually had to. At first, they would actually start making the doll after the second payment had been come in. Sorry, after 1 month, they would if it's like a 3 payment plan after the second payment had been paid, they would start making, and they actually had a sale of a couple of years ago of all the dolls that people never finished off paying for.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So there was a backlog of unsaleable dolls.
Unsaleable dolls just sitting there, and
oh dear.
Yeah, it's a problem for them as well. So actually, Dolce has given up on that, and they say basically we start making the doll once you've finished paying, because you can't do that. And Dolce, very very expensive dolls, and
in a sense, coming at it from a complete newbie's perspective, it actually makes sense to me that they wouldn't send me a doll or even make the doll until I've actually fully paid the doll. When I go to the store and I buy a doll, they don't say, okay, give me 75% and pay me the other 25% later. Here's your doll.
And the reason they start while you're still paying is because the doll time to make, and unfortunately, especially Dolce, is also many months. Yeah. So they want to give you the advantage of having a head start at least. Yeah. And
so they're trying to make it a happy.
They want, of course, they want your business, of course. But the dolls for them to the production cost of the dolls, and especially the Dolce dolls, he uses the most expensive production methods. Handcrafted, best resin, best silicone molds, everything the best and the best.
Sounds so good.
Yes, but that means that with the few people that he has working for him, it's a small company. There's 9 people working there, and that it can take many months. Count on 6 months from Dolce, and you can start complaining about after 9 months. But there has been 12 months period, and there has been one unfortunate incident a while back of 24 months of waiting.
Oh my!
Let's put it that way. That's not supposed to happen.
Okay, that's an extreme circumstance.
Extreme circumstance. He's only ever done that once. But yeah, it happens, and so any advantage they can give you by in any way, they would like to give it to you. But you know, people do have to finish the payments before anything is sent at all. I mean, yes, and especially for completely custom doll making. If you like saying, I want a doll that's in purple. Nobody will want this doll in purple, and I'm playing a layaway. Then the company will not be not any company in the world will start making it until you've paid it off.
Yeah, because
that's fair.
Because if the person doesn't come through in the end, they're stuck with a purple. Very exclusive, unique doll.
A purple doll that has its neck modified and that has like 3 legs or
elven
stuff
ears
like that.
And
elven ears is not easy to do, but I don't know.
I want elven ears.
Or some people order half a doll, but you know
okay.
that happens because they want to craft the rest of the doll themselves.
Oh wow, that's beyond me.
If you
amazing,
basically, I'm not fond of layaways at all, but if you're going to do anything custom casting, don't do a layaway. It's unless you're like a returning customer and you know the company well, and it can and it will work out and all that kind of thing. But really don't.
So how does buying through layaway from a doll company compared to buying through layaway from a private person who's selling their very, you know, a doll that's too expensive for me to buy right now, but I know that in 3 months I will have enough money.
Yeah, I want to say something first. One of the I actually did a couple of layaways, just because
you
from companies. No, but I bought.
You purchased, okay, yeah.
I purchased from company by layaway, and I see only the reason I did it is because I wanted to make sure that the money went from my regular running account and not from my savings account. But I actually had the money in my savings account, or I wouldn't have done it.
Yeah.
The only reason where I think that a layaway is actually in the proper place for a company is if it's like a limited doll that's available, that they have announced, then it's available for like a month and it's going to be sold out, and you simply don't have the money for it. But you know, if you know that you are able to finish a layaway of that kind, then you can consider buying that. I've seen a lot of people do that you buy the limited on a layaway plan, which is no problem. And
if you know that your income is regular, you know what your expendable income
and you know,
is available for the next so many months that you
will. And or if you actually have it sitting in the bank account, but you don't want to touch it unless you absolutely have to.
Right, you have,
So if something goes wrong, you can still get it from there. Or you have somebody you can borrow it from it if something goes wrong.
Borrowing for luxury items, we need to be very, very careful.
Neither a borrower nor a lender be, so be very careful.
Yes.
That's one of the moments I would say that yes. But at all times, I'd make a proper layaway plan that you tell the person you're doing the layaway with, that the company or a person or whatever, and that you're going to stick to. And it has to be something sensible. If you know that you have like $50 to spend on any luxury item every month, then don't get yourself a layaway of 100, because you're not going to be able to do it. But also don't make sure that your layaway is not too long. Ideal is
So
3 or 4 months. 6 months or more is a bad idea.
Try to stick it within the next 3 months. That's a reasonable period for most people to see what their immediate financial future is.
And then if you're going to do like for a private sale, if you're buying a second-hand doll, there's people who will offer a layaway. Again, I'm not pro layaway, so I'm gonna say try not to. There is a trust situation. You have to trust that the person is not going to run away with your money or sell the doll to somebody else. And they have to trust that you're going to be paying, and they're going to be 3 or 4 months waiting for the payment for something that they may have expected to be paid for quite quickly. And if somebody offers a layaway and you want one, then that's good, but not everybody's going to offer it. And I wouldn't, quite frankly, I wouldn't advise it definitely from a seller standpoint. Don't do it.
Private seller.
Private seller for a second-hand doll, don't do it. Basically.
It sounds like it's a situation best avoided. And if you can't avoid it, then be very careful about what
the terms.
The terms.
You have to be really clear
to get yourself into.
Be really clear on what you're going to pay and how you're going to pay it. And if something goes wrong, and that goes for a company as much as a private person, if something goes wrong from the buyer's point of view, like Auntie Mame got sick and you have to spend your money on traveling to visit her, let the person know. Because they're far away, they can't read your mind. If you just stop communicating, there's nothing they can do. All they can say after a while is say, and sell the doll to somebody else. Because no. But also if you like the private seller, you should always communicate that if something goes wrong, I don't know, you had a flood and all the doll is now completely covered in swamp water. I've never heard this happen, but you never know. Or it was stolen, which I have heard happen, and that can be a problem, that you make an arrangement of some sort.
There's another option that comes to my mind immediately, is instead of asking for a layaway, to take that $50 or $100, whatever your expendable parts that you want to spend on your next doll, and put them aside,
Save it
on a savings account somewhere separate from your normal checking account where your normal groceries are and you know, rent and that stuff is coming from. So you know that this is your little happy pot of money, and once your pot is large enough to buy that doll, then go to the company and say, or then go online to look for your second-hand doll, because it's
yeah, but the second-hand dolls, it's harder because there's so many different dolls. If that one doll that you have been waiting for comes by and you don't
have no money to spend on a doll,
it's a luxury item, but I'm going to have to say that we buy a lot of luxury items right now which people think are necessary, and it maybe not be necessary to get a new car this year and buy a doll instead. But how do you convince, I mean, if you're in your own household all alone, how do you convince your significant other or your parents or whomever that actually your doll, that doll that you want, is more important than the new car?
Because it represents happiness, it represents joy in your life, and the car is functional. So
yeah,
the
but
car just
people
has to be functional.
The people still say that functional and educational trumps out happy making. So there have been situations where a lot of situations where younger Ball Jointed Doll fans have come to a place and they basically said, well, my brother is getting an Xbox or something because it's educational.
That's a happiness thing.
That's educational, but I can't get a doll because that's because I can't get. I'm not allowed to get a doll
because it's a doll.
Because it's a doll, and that is it's a discussion.
This also touches on boys' toys are much more elevated as useful and educational than girls' toys. So that's one thing for another time. Yeah. Because wow, that's a big subject. So I want to thank you for quite a in-depth lecture. Although I know a lot more now than I did.
Educational, remember?
Very educational. Absolutely. Girl stuff is very educational about layaways, because that's a very difficult subject, because we're talking about money and how to spend it. If you like this, if it was useful to you, please give us a little like and subscribe to our channel so that we can give you more vlogs about the world of ball jointed dolls. And I'll see you later.
Bye!